take a deep breath in. As you breathe in a resourceful feeling of relaxation. And as you exhale, that's it, just relax those eyelids. And just get a sense that tension, any stress is leaving your body in that outward breath. As you breathe in, just imagine a wonderful feeling of calm relaxation going in through your nose. And scan your body for any feelings of stress or tension, perhaps in your jaw, your neck, your shoulders, and just allow that to be released, feeling it leave your body in that outward breath. So simply by breathing in and breathing out, you're able to go deeper and deeper relaxed. Perhaps you can even remember a time where you've been the most relaxed you've ever been. Maybe a time on vacation, maybe a time out in nature. But think of that time that you felt so deeply relaxed. You didn't try to slow your breathing or take deep breaths in. You just did that anyway. You didn't try and relax your muscles, your arms, your legs, your neck, your shoulders. There was just a feeling of that's how you are in this place, feeling so deeply relaxed. Your inner dialogue slowed down. The breath deep in through the nose, out through the nose. And your focus perhaps changed from paying attention to outside sounds to inward sensory experiences. You can see things in reality, you can imagine things in your mind's eye. You can hear real sounds like raindrops and breaking waves. And you can imagine an entire song being played inside your own mind's ear. And sometimes, the more relaxed you feel, the more that your imagination accentuates these natural abilities to pay attention to different sounds, different senses, different thoughts. And sometimes you've thought about certain things, and just by thinking about those things, new reflections get made, which lead to decisions, which leads to a ripple effect throughout your own life, enabling you to shift priorities, unlock resources, and to awaken those things that were always there, but needed the right environment to unlock them. A seed can remain dormant for a decade in dry soil. But the moment rainwater and that fertile soil combine, that dormant potential becomes unlocked. The seed always had that potential, but it needed the right environmental trigger to activate what was already there. And I want you to scan your memory banks for a time that you felt captivated. Maybe you saw something, heard something, experienced something that locked in your attention, that it was effortless to you to focus obsessively on that thing. And hold on to that idea and take that feeling and imagine a beach with big waves. I want you to imagine there's at least 100 surfers out there in the waves. I want you to see all the surfers just there, holding onto their boards, all in the water. And then perhaps a wave starts to build, and some of the surfers happen to be in the right place at the right time, jump on the board, and are thrilled to ride that wave for maybe 30 seconds, even though they end up back in that same water. There are some people that don't pursue their dreams, they don't go for those big goals in case they end up back in the water, without realizing that everyone ends up back in the water. The goal is to ride the waves when the waves are there to be ridden. As you breathe in and breathe out, just imagine seeing those surfers. And think about how you judge success with these surfers. And think of what the equivalent is in your life, in your career. Just imagine, what would be the pinnacle? What would be riding that amazing wave? What would be the musical equivalent of going through that barrel and coming out the other end? And I want you to get a sense that whatever represents success will always be temporary, will always be a fleeting moment, will always be an experience that doesn't last forever. But I want you to unlock, just like the seed needed rainwater. I want you to feel that the environmental conditions are such that they are unlocking whatever resources are dormant within you to enable you to tap into more of that potential that is always there, to enable you to ride more of those waves. There isn't a surfer alive that hasn't had one wipeout, hasn't almost caught a wave and then just ended up face first in the sea. But the greats will always focus on that very next wave. And I want you to think of a time perhaps where you had a great performance. And I want you to imagine seeing yourself like you were in the audience watching your performance. Maybe you can imagine yourself on a porch. See your facial expressions, your body language. See how relaxed and connected you felt. See that version of you in complete flow, being present, being mindful. Maybe before the show and after the show there was conversations and dialogue. I want you to see someone connected. Notice how you were breathing on that performance, and I want you to notice with certain key songs, I want you to imagine almost like tentacles on a sea creature, just hundreds perhaps of cables, cords coming out from your chest, representing a two-way flow of energy. And whatever the color is that's flowing from you is your intention, and whatever flows back is their experience. You might intend for a song to make people feel joyous, but what comes back might be inspired or motivated. You might intend for someone to feel self-love and acceptance, but what comes back might be something entirely different. And I want you to think of the beauty of different lives, different experiences, that what you create can create different emotional states in different people. But the more connected you feel with the audience, the more they receive your intention, and the more you notice that emotional feedback loop coming back. So as you see yourself perform, I want you to see yourself where the performance was riding one of those waves. You were in complete flow, projecting that authentic, competent, emotional, impactful version of you, and just see an increase in that energy flowing down these cables, and what comes back is equally visceral, intense, real. And I want you to imagine while you're doing that, there is a glowing circle beneath your feet. We can call this your flow state. And I want you to shift perspectives, so now you're not in the audience, but you're now in your body, feeling this wonderful feeling of being in flow. Feeling that connection, imagining these heart chords coming from your heart to the hearts of every person listening, and feel that emotion coming from you to them, but also feel the emotion coming back the other way. And I want you to see bright, intense colors, sometimes a red glow, sometimes the colors of a rainbow, neon blues, vibrant greens. I want you to see those colors going back and forth. I want you to feel like what you send out is proportionate to what comes back. The more authentic you are, the more intense you are, the more real you are, the more you notice when the emotions come back the other way. And I want you to accept the idea that you don't need to see any facial expressions. You can feel this energy coming back. When you send the energy, you just know you can feel it. It's the frequency, it's the energy in the room. And I want you to see that glowing color, bright yellow, bright gold, right beneath your feet. And then feel like it's turning from 2-dimensional into a 3-dimensional cylinder, almost like a beam. And imagine this beam is a 3-dimensional force that is conducive to this flow state, this state of connectedness, of presence. And then I want you to imagine going forwards in time. Perhaps you could see a future performance venue. And I want you to imagine, perhaps on the side of the stage or right next to the microphone, is that same glowing color. And the moment you step into that glowing color, it changes from 2-dimensional to a 3-dimensional beam, and you feel this rush of authenticity, a flow state, a feeling of absolute belonging, that you're there for a reason and people are listening for a reason. I want you to feel like it's dialing up the emotional intensity, that whatever emotion you're intending to communicate is now amplified. No different from how the amplifiers will amplify your voice. This flow state will amplify the intensity of the emotions that you send down those heart chords. And the more intensity you send out, the more intensity comes back. And the intensity doesn't have to be just bigger and louder. There'll be certain emotions where subtlety, nuance, delicacy, a quieter voice actually increases the intensity of that particular emotion, sending it as a specific color all the way down those heart chords, connecting to everyone in that room. I want you to feel that presence. People you know, people you don't know, people that are guests, people that have bought tickets. Everyone in that room has a connection. And I want you to think of a particular song or something you would say or do, and really feel the vibrancy of those colors going down that heart chord. Not just one, but to every single person in the room. Feel that you're being authentic, real, connecting people to your intention. I want you to imagine something small goes wrong, maybe the wrong note on the piano. And I want you to feel that you can own whatever happens. Hear yourself saying certain words that people that know would know that you're acknowledging a mistake. But people that wouldn't, it's just ambiguous information. that again gives them an emotional experience, sending more energy down those heart cords. I want you to feel like the performance was a success. And I want you to hear the feedback from the people there. Perhaps you're hearing things like, "That was emotional. That was amazing. That really impacted me. That made me think." Perhaps other things that you're hearing. And each of this adds fuel to the flames of your mission to mesmerize, to impact, to take people on a journey. And if your unconscious mind feels that you have unlocked the resources to dial up that two-way communication of not what you do, but how people experience what you do, let me know by nodding your head. And then just imagine seeing one song, one performance go back in time, this time from the audience perspective. See you on that stage, see you performing, and imagine how it would feel to receive that energy down the heart cord from them to you. Feel the intensity, feel you're experiencing real emotions in real time, and feel yourself sending energy back the other way. And feel how good it feels to be in the audience of your own performance. Tap into that wonderful feeling. And then I want you to imagine you're back on a beach, seeing surfers ride the waves, as you accept that life is a journey. That in life there will be waves to ride, and not every wave will lead to where you want it to. But your focus is on experiencing those experiences that you want, that you desire. The focus is not falling on the water. It's on that very next wave you get to ride. Breathe in and breathe out and feel like you're returning to the present. But take that wonderful feeling of resourcefulness with you. Feeling of self-belief, of conviction, of deep certainty that things will go the way you want them to go. Take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, feeling like you're returning to the present. As I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you, you will awaken feeling resourceful, confident, full of self-belief, and feeling that you've unlocked additional resources to amplify this two-way emotional connection from you to your audience. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.